Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, Jackie Cation here. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com. There's a donation button. Feel free to use it. February's light. Anyway, merch, you can always get a t-shirt or a CD at JackieCation.com, the store. AllThingsComedy.com is the new umbrella group with SoundCloud that I'm working to try to get away from. So the shows are posted on Libsyn and they're posted on SoundCloud at AllThingsComedy.com / probably the Dork Forest. Or if not / click on the Dork Forest logo. The one for All Things Comedy. Anyway, Mike Rickberg just sang the song you heard. Vilmos fixes the websites, and Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio. Sitting with me today, a man, we have been trying to do this for some time, friend of Andy Ashcraft's, now a friend of mine, because we're married, and now all his friends are mine. Mine. Scott Rogers, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to finally be here.
Yes, now you were on briefly with Andy.
Yes,
as a venture brother, as a minion.
And I also had to share the spotlight with Andy and, was it Rusty or someone? We talked about video games way in the dark ages.
Oh, back in the day, it was, I think it was Brian Upton.
Oh, Brian Upton, right.
And yourself and Andy just talking video games.
Yes, but
right.
I didn't want to, I'm done with those guys.
That's it, one-on-one.
Exactly.
You're like, I would like all of the attention.
I have other nerdities to air.
Well, the thing is probably 3 or 6 months ago, you're like, you got your dream job as an Imagineer.
Yes.
At Disney.
Yes. No, this was a year and a half ago.
Was it just a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and so ever since then, and actually probably 4 months before, you're like, let's go to Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And we'll do a dork expedition in Disneyland. And I will show you everything I love about Disneyland.
And I'll buy you a corn dog.
And you'll buy me a corn dog. A couple of things you don't know. I don't like corn dogs.
Oh!
And I never wanted to do a dork expedition in Disneyland.
Really?
I know, because when I go to Disneyland, I just want to go to Disneyland.
You don't want to turn it into a job.
Well, I don't want to have to worry about
turn it into a job?
If the Zoom H4n is pointed correctly as we tool around. But what I like the idea is doing, because you're the third person to want to do this dork expedition in Disneyland, which sounds like just an excuse to go to Disneyland.
Who are the other two? And we'll have
Steve Tatham.
Oh,
Imagineer.
Well, okay. I cannot
stand-up comic.
Cannot say anything bad about Mr. Steve Tatham, who hired me into Imagineering. Yes, he did. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. You listening?
Yeah, he probably is.
You might.
And I should mention, on top of that, since Steve Tatham probably will be listening, is that the thoughts and opinions are of those of Scott Rogers only, and not of the Walt Disney Company or Imagineering.
Oh, well done. Yes. Well played. Well played, sir.
And so I cannot reveal any secrets. Actually, there's 3 things I cannot do as an Imagineer.
What is it?
The first is I cannot get you tickets to Disneyland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, maybe, but no, I can't get, because then everybody...
Officially, you cannot get me tickets to Disneyland.
Well, officially, I can...
Andy can get those discount ones because he was a contract guy.
Yeah, okay, I know, but if I say I'll get you tickets to Disneyland, everybody will want tickets to Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. So sorry. Officially, I can't get you tickets to Disneyland. Asterisks. Secondly is I can't change that stupid ride you hate.
Oh, right.
So if there's a ride that you hate, and we don't call them rides, they're attractions.
Right.
And the third thing I cannot do, what was the third thing I cannot do? I can't make your new idea for a ride. Or I can't even listen to your idea for a ride or an attraction or that, just in case, because if you say, hey, Disney just bought Star Wars, and it wouldn't be awesome if you did do a Star Wars ride where you fly on a tour, or Star Tours, and fly to Endor or something, and I'd be like, blah, 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 I can't hear that, because now, like, years later, or travel back in time, and now Star Tours opens, and you're like, what? That's my idea, I want money, and I'm going to sue.
Right.
So, so I can't hear your idea for an attraction. So.
I like the idea that you can't fix the shitty ride, or the attraction that someone doesn't like.
Well...
But the thing is... If there's an attraction you don't like at Disneyland, first of all, don't go on it.
Right.
Second of all,
we have lots of other ones.
Why are you a grump? Why are you so grumpy you want it to change? What do you want, like...
Well, there's
Peter Pan, and what? You're like, there's not enough of the dog, I want more of the dog?
Most of the dog shows up enough. Yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe people have been, at least people who live in California have been on these attractions so many times that they're like, oh, I could, Wald had a term for it called plussing it up, right? You want to make it better. Oh, how can we plus it up? And I mean, we do enough of that. Imagineering does enough of that within the company, yes. So look at the Haunted Mansion holiday or the Small World. They do the great Christmas stuff every year.
Oh, right.
And so there's enough of that that goes on. I think that, if everybody were coming with their ideas, they would never be able to get anything done. I guess. Right.
And if you go to... Now, did you grow up going to Disneyland?
Oh, yeah.
Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I grew up in San Diego.
Okay, so close enough.
Yeah, 2 hours away.
Oh, that'll do it.
And I used to tell people I would go to Disneyland every year whether I needed to or not. And I had to start taking a bath on Saturday or that kind of thing.
Oh, sure.
And my parents, so I have
a lot of people don't know that the San Diego is the Old West and you only take a bath.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it is. And we go down. Anyway, my father, though, has some Disney pedigree, which I didn't learn until a little bit later in life. But he worked in the park the first summer after it was open. So he worked in 1956.
Okay.
At Disneyland. He grew up in now I'm still trying to, I wish he was still alive, but I wish I could figure out the logistics of this because I've talked to him about it, but not to the point where I really, if you were living in if you were living in Monrovia, which is where he was living, I think at the time, well maybe it's a little later. Anaheim's that's a schlep to go to... On a 2-lane highway in 1952? Yeah, in 1956, where the freeway was still being built. It wasn't even done yet. Yeah, it wasn't even... So I don't know. I mean, when did Disneyland open? 55. Okay. July 17th, 1955. All right. And it was $1 to get in. Okay. And it costs anywhere from 10 to 35 cents to go on an attraction. Oh, so there were tickets. There were tickets. Right, so you know the term e-ticket. It was old-timey... old-timey carnival where you had to pay per ride. Yeah, okay. But you know the term, the e-ticket, right? E-ticket. No. You've never... What? All right, I will show you an e-ticket later. Okay. You can take a picture of it, put it in the notes. You can scan it on your scanner, and we can use it as an image. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you were absolutely right that there were tickets when you first you go into the park and you'd get a admission pass and a book of tickets. Okay. And I forget how many tickets you get overall, what the actual number was, but they were originally it was A through D, and then they added the E-ticket later. Okay. I think they added the e-ticket in, I want to say, the late 50s. Okay. And so it would depend on the excitement of the attraction was what the ticket was. So an A would be ride the horse-drawn carriage down Main Street. Okay. But a C would be go on Peter Pan. Okay. So, they kind of, on level of spectacular. A was spectacular. Well, C? Yeah, A being kind of... I would want to ride the horse-drawn carriage. Yeah. I mean, there's some lovely A-ticket attractions. Sure. But to some people... Peter Pan's a big deal. Yeah, well, you'd end the day and you'd be like, I have a bunch of A's and B's left over. Whatever, I'll save them till next time, right? Yeah. So when the E rolled around, the E was the E-ticket attraction, was the big thing they spent the money on. Pardon me. And originally... it was things like the Matterhorn and the Jungle Cruise and the Tiki Room. And so as each of kind of the new hotness rolled out, right, they would say, well, let's add that to the e-ticket roster. So the e-ticket that I physically own, I think it's from 69, from 1969. Summer of Love. Well, it's from 69 because that was the year the Haunted Mansion opened, which is my favorite attraction. Oh, is it? Oh, it is. And I'll have lots of stories to tell you about that later. But anyway, the things that I remember that are on there, I mean, I could take 2 seconds and run and look, but I'll just go from memory, are things like the Matterhorn, the Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Mine Train, which is no longer around, things like that. So these are, essentially they were, anytime you kind of sat yourself in a cart and you either saw something really cool like a pirate or a parrot, or you would whiz around and that, then it was an e-ticket. And so it eventually the term came to be an e-ticket meant the thrill rides. Okay. And so even within Imagineering, you say, well, is this an e-ticket attraction? So for example, in Cars Land, which just opened up, which is really cool. I don't know if California Adventure, Disney's California Adventure. There's 3 new attractions, and One is the Mater Junkyard Jamboree. One is Luigi's Flying Tigers. And the third is the Radiator Springs Racer. And the Radiator Springs Racer is the e-ticket of the three. So it's more elaborate. Right. It's a faster-paced attraction. It's got really impressive effects and characters. Flying Tires is a...
I thought it was Tiger.
Flying Tires. Yeah. So, yeah, you sit on a tire. Okay. And it's kind of like bumper cars. And it's actually a concept that was built back in... I want to say the early 60s, that was for Tomorrowland. And in Tomorrowland, they were UFOs that were bumper cars, but there was a lot of technical issues. So imagine sitting on a UFO on the equivalent of a giant air hockey table.
Right.
So you'd sit on this thing and you had a little control stick and you drive this thing around and would use the compressed air to kind of push you around. Okay. But it was notorious for breaking down all the time. And there are pictures of it. It did operate for a year or two. I forget how long. Not very long, though. And
the technology wasn't caught up to it yet.
Well, yeah, but it was always like a really cool idea. Totally. That worked to a certain extent, but it never worked to the level that everybody had hoped it would. And so they removed it. And there's one interesting thing about Disneyland in particular, Anaheim Disneyland, is that there's a lot of a lot of ideas get recirculated within Imagineering for attractions and shows and things like that, where they say, oh, we really would love to do this, and it didn't quite work, let's try it again, or let's do a new version of it, or let's sit on it for a long time until we actually can get it to work right. Okay. And we can talk about some of those later, but the Tires is essentially Flying Saucer 2.0, right? Okay. So it's essentially them trying again to capture what the Flying Saucers did in Tomorrowland. And they're fun. I mean, they do what they do, and how super successful they were, that's up for debate.
See, then my phone goes off.
And then your phone goes off.
But it's
But it sounds like Tomorrowland music, so it's okay.
It's a $21 Nokia.
Nothing but the best.
And so.
I assume this part will be edited out by Patrick Brady or someone.
No. If it gets edited out, it's by me.
It's by you, okay.
And then Patrick Brady, he just makes it sound better.
What does that mean?
He has to do the compression, and he has to do... See, Scott Rogers has been listening to the Dork Forest for some time now.
I have heard almost all of them, I think.
I think so. And it is...
And it's creepy because we are friends.
Yes.
And you talk about my friend Andy Ashcraft, who I've known for several years. Right. And I now know too much.
Well, that's what his friends from college are like. Stop doing jokes about him. That's weird.
Well, I don't mind the jokes about him. But
the stuff on stage is fine. But
the stuff on stage. It's when you guys start talking about your family, which I've not met. I've never met any of your family members, but I know all about them. Sure. I know about your dad, and I know about how he likes to hit on girls at funerals, and I know that you have one brother that's gay and one brother that's,
None of my brothers are gay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're all secretly gay.
Secretly gay. Sorry. Okay. All right.
They're the straightest gay men in the world. They're like ladies, but they. My oldest brother, huge Disney fan. Oh, okay. My oldest brother is an evangelist, and he took his 3 children at the time for 14 days to Disney World.
God bless him. That's a long haul, though.
They were bored after 4 days, and
it can happen.
It can happen, and and there was no. And you just go, so where did you find the money for that, man of God? And
collection plate. Collection
plate. That is the suspicion. Anyway, and then my brother Phil he cries at things.
That's right.
And then my brother Scott owns all 7 seasons of Gilmore Girls.
And then you have a sister who you don't talk about too much for some reason.
Well, my brother Russ he's the fan of all things in the era of Connie Francis. Ah. So, and then my sister, who I don't talk about too much because she's pretty sane. Yeah. And she's
the only one you're worried about.
The boss of me. That was her who just called, as a matter of fact.
Oh, Bossy Magoo.
It was, she is not bossy. She is not so bad.
Okay, that's good.
I'm more bossy than good. But okay, so, my favorite ride, by the way, at Disneyland.
Attraction. How many rides are there in Disneyland, the question goes?
How many?
And there's only one. And that is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And all the rest are known as attractions. So, if you want to learn a little Disney speak, because there is a lot of, that's one of the things that people, I think, get kind of bemused by about Disneyland and Disney in general is the lingo, right? We're not employees, we're cast members.
Oh, right. Were you guys the first ones to do that?
No, I think, well, you know, the term Imagineer isn't even invented by Disney. It's like from Ford or someone like that, or or some other car, like a car company or some other. And Disney heard it and went, "Hey, that's an awesome term. I'm gonna steal it."
Walt himself.
Yeah, Walt himself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And Henry Ford's like, "Hello,
hey,
copyright." No. Fair enough.
It was the 50s.
It was
right?
the 50s.
Nobody cared about it.
It was a different time.
You could steal with impunity.
That's right. The windshield wiper movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, cast members and attractions.
Yeah, my favorite attraction is in the Land of Tomorrow, or the
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland. Yes. It's the rocket ride like Dumbo.
Oh, well, the current one is called the Astro Orbiter.
That's it.
And it used to be called the Astro Jets, and that thing terrified the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, 'cause too high. Too high in the sky. Because originally, if you go to Tomorrowland now, there's a very odd looking structure that is called the Observatron. And the Observatron essentially is just like a piece of sculpture. Now it's just kind of thing that's just kind of...
Oh, it has those bulbs and it looks all 50s science fiction,
right? It has kind of 50s...
It's super cool looking.
It is super cool. It's a great looking structure.
I only went to the Disneyland for the first time 10 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
I'd lived here for 5 years.
Yeah.
Before I went.
Well, that's the thing, too. I know a lot of people that, like, for example, a very good friend of mine just finally went this January.
And had never been.
And he had never been, and he's lived in California for 15 years, and some people that come to California are like, well, I don't want to just be like all the other suckers and go to Disneyland, or whatever, or there's usually some reason that they have a bias towards it, whether it's the fact that it's Disney or I don't know what. But the
sometimes
point,
they think it's too crowded. That's what my whole thing was like.
Crowd is another reason. Yeah. So if you go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, my personal favorite used to be a Wednesday in March.
You enjoy a Wednesday in March?
That used to be my personal favorite day.
Has that changed?
Well, yeah, because I can get in anytime I want.
Oh, right. So now, and how many times have you been in the last year and a half?
God. Oh, okay. So, no, well,
since it became free.
Year and a half. Well, there's a difference between going for pleasure and going for work.
Oh, right.
So going for work involves crawling around under the Haunted Mansion at 4 a.m, which is
pleasure to you.
Which is completely awesome. But conversely, there is going and taking your family or friends and saying, let's spend a lovely day at the Magic Kingdom. Actually, it's not even the Magic Kingdom. It's the happiest place on earth. Because Magic Kingdom is Florida.
Okay.
So, where were we? We're going to Disneyland. So, yes, how many times this year? Oh, my God. I think I might even have saved ticket stubs somewhere.
There are 365 days in a year.
Yes, okay.
It was a leap year last year.
Well, like when I was a kid, and I didn't go on the leap year. The park was open 24 hours.
Oh, was it? Yeah, the leap year? Yeah. They just stay open?
Yeah, and there was a dude that flew from, I forget if he went Florida first or Anaheim first, but he flew from Anaheim to Florida, let's say, so he could be at both parks on the same day. Which is pretty awesome, actually. I'm very jealous.
That's a serious dorkdom.
Yeah.
That guy's on board.
I am a little jealous of that guy. But they made shirts, for people that did stuff like that. I don't know how many actually did it, but at least one. Right. So last year, for fun, we went at Thanksgiving. Where we had a lovely Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, we did. We ate at the hotel there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Disney hotel.
Yes, the Steakhouse 55, which is a nice little steakhouse in the hotel.
Just in the hotel. The one fancy thing I did what I really do want to do at some point is sort of a walkthrough.
Yeah, okay.
But the one, I have a cousin whose boss was a member of that New Orleans...
Club 33.
Club 33.
Yes.
And so this is my stepmother's sister and her family, essentially. So this is probably 10 years ago, the first time I ever went to Disneyland. And, I think that was the first time. It was with Nancy and her sister Pam and her daughters. And one of her daughters' boss was a member of Club 33, so we had dinner. And it actually had to be, I think it was 15 years ago. That was the first time I was ever in, because I had a beer. I had a beer at Club 33.
And you're like, this is great. Booze, Disneyland.
Right. I had an Amstel Light and Chateaubriand.
I
remember.
I don't drink myself. But the Chateaubriand the Chateaubriand was always my pick of choice at Club 33. And I've been shamefully, I've had many opportunities. I mean, even before I worked for Disney, to go to Club 33. So for those of you in the audience that don't know what Club 33 is,
go to the New Orleans Square.
Okay,
right?
So it's in New Orleans Square. What it is it is a restaurant that is on the second floor of New Orleans Square. So New Orleans Square is a New Orleans-themed land in Disneyland.
Right, and all the buildings in Disneyland are at like 75% perspective or something, right?
Yeah, something to that. Yeah. Well, it's
so
within,
second floor isn't that high.
No. Well, in New Orleans it actually is because
is it?
it's people are on the second floor.
Oh, okay. So
whenever
it has to be
it's
structurally.
Well, whenever there are people around, like if you can, essentially the rule of thumb is if you can kind of reach and interact with it, it should be to normal scale. Okay. But the minute it's something that you can't interact with, we can then play with the scale and change it. So, for example, famously, the castle, right? The first level is normal scale, and then I forget. People are going to be screaming, it's 7/8 or something like that.
Who know.
Yes, people who know better than I do. But essentially the scale diminishes as it goes up the floor. So the actual castle itself, which I have been to the top of, by the way.
That's neat.
Which is very cool. Although there's a very shaky ladder you have to climb to get up to the top.
Wow.
And if you fall, you will not only smash yourself, but you will smash a lovely Sleeping Beauty display. So you don't want to...
Wow, you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy. Yeah,
the guy that ruined the Sleeping
My
Beauty.
thought as climbing the rickety wooden ladder that's from 1955 is like, oh dear God, please don't let me be the one to destroy Sleeping Beauty walkthrough.
This will affect my pension.
Yeah, so I'll be docked up for some way. It goes up. I think the castle itself is maybe 3 stories tall.
Right.
So it's not. It looks bigger. It looks like it's a nice proper castle. Mm-hmm. But it's not. And that's the thing, of course, that everybody comments about Anaheim is they say, oh, it's so tiny compared to Florida.
To Disney World?
Yeah, because Florida, they finally went, hey, we got the space. Let's build it. Let's just make it the scale.
Yeah. Disneyland is in the middle of a city now, and it wasn't at the time, but it was still not. There was still plenty of city happening.
But that said, that's the beauty of Disneyland, in my opinion. This is one of the things I love. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I like them both.
I like them all. Mm-hmm. Both. There's like 7 of them now.
Right.
And they're all cool for their own although I've not been to the other ones yet, and I haven't been to the Florida one since like the 80s. So my focus is hyper Disneyland. Right. Because I've just been there so often.
Yeah.
But Disneyland is a gem of economy. It is so beautifully crafted. The space, the use of space,
just the efficiency of it.
The efficiency of it is amazing. And there are spots in Disneyland you can stand, and if you just take a second and don't worry about trying to get on the line to Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, and you are in a different world. You are in the Old West, or you are in Africa, or, I mean, the effect is so complete and so immersive, right? Yeah. I mean, that's my background in video games. I'm always trying to get that immersive experience, right? And that's, I honestly believe that it was places like Disneyland that drove people ultimately to want to make video game worlds that were immersive and all that. But Disneyland, you can go to these little spots. What's
a good spot?
Well, probably the best one is the fishing hole on the Big Thunder Trail. So if you go past Big Thunder Mountain and you kind of curve a little bit around to the right, and there is a fishing pond that has like jumping catfish in it, and if you just kind of stand there and you'll hear the steam whistle from the Mark Twain, and you'll hear the train from the Big Thunder kind of roaring around behind you every so often. But other than that, it's just very still and quiet. And this is in the middle of the afternoon, and you could be there on July 4th weekend and still have a nice little moment.
Still have that experience.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, yes, I highly recommend everybody take a second and just enjoy that little catfish pond at Big Thunder Trail.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
For the first time I went to the Tiki Room because I had never even heard of the Tiki Room.
Best place to go to the bathroom.
Is it?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because it originally was a restaurant, or it was going to be a restaurant.
Okay.
And they decided at the last minute to they're like, well, the traffic is going to take too long, and they wanted to get people in and out. And so they aborted the plans to make it a dinner theater.
Right.
But attached to the building are still 2 little tiny restrooms. And so if you go to it's used to be the second cleanest bathroom in the park. The first one is gone. They unfortunately have recently tore it out, and that was in the hub area, which is near the castle. But this is, if you need to go to the bathroom and you want a little privacy and quiet, use the one at the Tiki Room. And now, of course, everybody's going to be using it, and it's going to be all jammed up.
Exactly, the thousands of people. There's only like 6,000 listeners.
But it's still considered. A secret, like to most people. That little bathroom.
Okay, so let me do this. Let me say. So you park.
Right.
What parking lot do you recommend?
Well, the parking structure is the biggest either on the West Coast or in the continental U.S. I don't remember which.
And it doesn't really matter where you park because there's always a tram, right?
Right,
so it's easy enough.
So if you just park if you go to the Mickey and Friends parking structure, which is off of Ball?
I think so.
Yeah, so you if you're coming off the freeway and you get off of Disneyland Drive and you follow the signs, that everything's clearly marked, and you park. And a good little trick is to take a little photo of your parking spot, right? So that way you remember.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that way you can delete it at the end of the day.
Right, because we all have our phones, or everybody else does.
Yeah, somebody's got
a phone with a camera.
So take a picture, because sometimes it can get a little confusing. Even I've gotten lost in that parking structure once or twice.
Wow, I get lost at malls.
Yeah.
And I always have to park in the same spot so that I can find my damn car.
How do you park in the same spot? Do you mark it? And just...
I go all the way to the top.
and then the last spot.
And then I try to get something that is perpendicular to the elevator.
Ah, there you go.
And so even if I go back all the way, like if I have to hike into the elevator, I just go straight back from the elevator to the wall, and I try to park as close to that row.
And you just do this no matter where you are,
whatever mall I'm in,
even if it's like a little tiny mall, like a 2-story parking
like
structure?
a strip mall.
Yeah.
No, a strip mall. I tend to. I can find my car in 8 cars.
Okay. Well, but you need a more garish car then.
Right, I have the Toyota Corolla, the 2003 Toyota Corolla.
Is it silver?
No, it is red-ish.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which 1,000 billion people all have that same car.
Well, what you need is a nice antenna topper or something, I think.
All right. Well, what I do is I have a University of Wisconsin sticker on the back.
And who else is going to have that?
Very few people.
Right.
Proud to be a Badger is what it says.
Yeah,
but Badger. It's a cling film, which is the bumper sticker that says, I'm not going to want this forever.
No commitment.
No commitment. So then, the thing is so what I like to do, and the 6 times that I have been to Disneyland, allow me to tell you my love, which is we get to that downtown Disney, which is a bunch of stores and stuff outside of Disneyland, and there they have good coffee. Yeah. And that's where I like to get a large iced coffee.
And then just chill or bring it with you?
Bring it with me.
Okay. Right.
Now, the day has begun. I have got a large beverage that I now can walk into.
All right, so you've got your beverage, and you've passed through security, and you presumably have tickets or...
I have tickets already.
So, pro tip is a lot of places are good to... if you go to Vons or...
the grocery store?
Grocery stores, yeah, they sell tickets, and usually it's at a bit of a reduced price.
Okay.
So that's good. Or AAA is also, if you're a member of that,
you'll get a discount.
You can get a discount. And what's cool about AAA is sometimes they offer get in an hour early, or here's a pin if you're into that, or that.
And Steve Tatham collects pins.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do too. I have a huge.
Right. Well, you get the first ones because you work there, right? You get a deal.
It's like crack. The first one is free.
Right.
And then you have to get second. No, the first one I got was from. I got it from an event that I went to for the Haunted Mansion, like an anniversary event. Okay. And I kind of was like, all right, well, it's cool and amusing, but why in God's name would I want a pin? And 10,000 million pins later, I have a large albatross on my back. Yeah, no, now I'm narrowing my pin collecting down to things like it can't be a Disney, it can't be Mickey Mouse. It has to be a character from the Haunted Mansion, preferably the Hitchhiking Ghosts or the Hatbox Ghost, and that's pretty much it.
And now, do you go to the Haunted Mansion more than once when you go?
Yeah, I do.
You go first thing and last
thing? My
record
maybe? Is 9 times in a row, but that was a very special occasion.
What was that special occasion?
Oh, we'll talk about that later. Well,
There's not a lot of later.
Oh, no? Already? So. Oh, cripes. All right. So the Haunted Mansion is where I proposed to my lovely wife, Brenda.
Yay!
Yay! And
So you brought her to Disneyland and proposed to her?
I imported her.
This is a long time. You guys have been married for some time.
Yeah,
huh?
we're going on 14 years this year.
Okay.
And plus some fooling around before that. So.
Right. Well, you're shacking up doing the devil's work?
Yeah, devil's work.
Okay, sure.
And
you got children's.
yeah, I got two
kids?
9 and 11.
He's you've
Evelyn and Jack. Hi, Evelyn and Jack.
Hi, Evelyn and Jack.
We might make you listen to this because Dad isn't sworn yet. So, anywho, so the Haunted Mansion and I have a very long history together. And when I was a little kid, I had an LP record of the Haunted Mansion. You could buy these, like the story of it. And it was Ron Howard, speaking of Ron Howard. And he was like the hero and then his girlfriend, and they went to spend, and they like they got trapped in the rain. They got stuck in the Haunted Mansion. They had to go through the Haunted Mansion, and it kind of talked you through the attraction.
Oh, okay.
And it came with this gorgeous booklet with all these paintings by our Imagineer named Colin Campbell.
Colin Campbell. I'll link it on the notes.
Yeah, I'll link it on the notes. And just beautiful artwork. And anyway, so when I was a kid, I listened to this record incessantly. I listened to it every day. My mom swears I listened to it every day. And later, when I had it up until I was in college, and the last time I listened to it, I had to put $5 in change on the LP to keep it from wobbling because it was so warped from being listened to.
I remember that when you would put like pennies and stuff, and you're like, well, I can't play that track because that's where the pennies have to go.
Exactly, they bounce or whatever.
Yeah.
So I listened to this thing, and my mom and dad are like, all right, time for our yearly visit to Disneyland. Mm-hmm. So we go to Disneyland, and I must be about 6 or 7 at the time. And we go into the Haunted Mansion, and in the Haunted Mansion, one of the first rooms that you go into is a room that stretches, the paintings stretch, and a corpse hangs down from the ceiling, and it flashes lighting. It's scary, but not super scary. I lost my stuff. And freaked out, and I had to walk me out of the chicken exit, which I found actually kind of fascinating, actually, seeing that there was another way out. But I refused to go to the Haunted Mansion for like at least a year, if not 2. Right. And I became like super obsessed with it, though, because whenever I'm like really into something and I can't, I'm like too scared of it. I read up on it. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the movie Alien, my parents went to see that, and my mom was like, that was the most disgusting movie ever. You should never see it. I couldn't eat afterwards. And so what I do, I ran out and bought all the trading cards, and like I built the story. So
you're trying to recreate what the heck was going to happen.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be scared.
To sort of take the teeth out of it.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Which is ironic, though, because the Haunted Mansion, I had already done that. I knew the record by heart. I could quote it.
You should have been able to.
I should have been cool with it, but it was too much, right? So anyway, flash forward years later. So I finally go on it as a kid, and maybe 9 or 10, and I love it, and it becomes one of my regular things. And I'm in college, and I had a very good friend, Steve Marshner, who we were at the park, and Steve interviewed for a job, but he got it, but then he didn't show up to work, but he got like free passes or something. So we would go, him, and then I had a couple other really good friends, a fellow who's passed, whose name is Kurt Lieber, who really made Disneyland a whole different place for me. Mm-hmm. We would do scavenger hunts and screw around and get drunk and all. When I was in college, Disneyland was kind of my playground. Yeah. And there's 4 ways you can kind of experience Disneyland. First is as a visitor, a guest. Mm-hmm. The second is when you go there enough to like be so familiar with it, you kind of like screwing around with it. Yeah. The third is when you kind of make it your own and you start doing things with it. And then I think the fourth is when you actually become employed and that. So I've been lucky enough to kind of experience Disneyland on all 4 levels of being involved with it. Yeah. So anyway, so Steve and I are talking about the people at the park and how easily they buy into things because people tend to check Disneyland is a place of safety and a place of people trust Disney. Yeah, you can suspend your disbelief when you walk in. And so people will say, wow, look at those birds that are eating my food that I'm throwing on the ground. They're so realistic. But they think they're robots. Right. And you're like, what? They're not. Those are the birds that live in the park, that are feeding off of your pretzels. Pigeons. They're everywhere. Yeah, there's sparrows. There's a lot of little sparrows everywhere. Oh, okay. And so we were laughing about this and we're like, man, they believe anything. You could put anything in front of somebody and they'd buy it as part of the show. Right. And so my buddy goes, hey, I got this great idea. Let's go play dead in the Haunted Mansion. And we'll see if they think they're part of the show. We're part of the show. Right. Great idea. That's what I said. So we run into not a great idea, but a great idea. Not a great idea? Well, how old were you? 21, 19 maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there. So we go to the Haunted Mansion. And I lay down, so that we go to the stretch room, you go through the stretch room, there's a hall afterwards where there's paintings that change when the lightning, when the lightning goes. And and I laid down, face down on the floor, facing the elevator, which is the stretcher. I'm sorry, I just ruined that effect for everybody. Spoilers. But
post-spoiler alert.
yeah, 1969 spoilers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Usual suspects.
Yeah.
It's a sled.
And a Star Wars Death Star explodes. Anyway, Silence of the Lamb. The lamb dies. Anyway, I'm laying face down on the floor, and I look out of the corner of my eye, and my pal bails. He just chickens out on me, right up. And I'm like, you son of a... Yeah. And I'm trying to determine, should I get up? Should I go through with it? Whatever. And the doors to the next group load of guests opens up, and there's a whole... elevator faults, late afternoon and whatever. I don't remember when this was. But I hear this collective gasp of like everybody realizing that there's a dead body or seemingly dead body in the floor of where normally there wasn't. And so I'm like trying to keep my cool. So I'm like playing dead and people are walking
by.
The commitment. Yeah.
It's one thing about Scott Rogers. He does commit. He committed to that, to the
I wanted to see if this would work. And now that I was face down on the floor, I wanted to see if it worked. So people are passing me by and they're going, oh my God, it looks so real. And when did they add this? And this guy nudges me with his foot. And so there are cast members that are working the doom buggies, which are the vehicles that take you into the bulk of the ride. And so obviously somebody must have said, hey, there's some idiot laying face down on the floor. And so this poor cast member comes walking, he's waving his flashlight and he's like, all right, what's going on here? And I jump up and I said, sorry, I tripped and I beelined it and jumped into the doom buggy and I made my escape at about 3 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody came and nobody,
they were like, as long as you're real.
Yeah. As long as you're alive, you're fine.
Yeah.
Hang on, phone is ringing.
Yep. Sure, you want to go see who it is?
Let's see if somebody's going to talk.
Wait, maybe.
Please have some nuts.
I'm going to have this walnut. Is this a walnut?
I don't know. Good question.
A pecan?
Would you like a little more root beer?
Yeah. Always.
Something. There's some cashews, I think. There's one, half of one.
The only reason
Sorry, it's not the...
Here's a glimpse into the Dork Forest. The only reason I serve cashews is because AndyALSO&hellip loves cashews, so we always have them.
Andy. See, I thought it was a you thing.
No. I don't. And he likes dark chocolate. I don't have.
So you're like not doing anything.
You would get a chicken sandwich if it were me.
I was going to say a roast chicken, right?
Yeah, there would be some sort of chicken involved.
Now, let me ask you real quickly off the record about the chicken. Is it any chicken, or is it like, is there one? What's your chicken? Like, if you have to eat a fast version of chicken versus a slow version, because I assume a slow version would be like a roasted chicken.
Yeah.
So a fast version would be what? Is it
like go to a
Chick-fil-A or Wendy's
or Zanku.
Oh, Zanku. Okay.
Yeah, it would be a.
So still chicken on the bone, but
yeah, this is sort of like a glimpse, like Miracle on 34th Street. Does Santa sleep with his beard out or under the covers?
And you're like the Zanku chicken, which you've taken me to.
Yeah, Zanku chicken is excellent. I like Zanku. I like. I don't like fried chicken very much. It's okay.
You've not done have you done like Dinah's though?
Yeah, I've done Dinah's, and Dinah's makes an excellent fried chicken.
Oh, yeah.
But it is not my favorite. I like a roast chicken better. And
interesting.
I'm working on a calendar, but I only have I believe I have 8 chicken recipes. You need 12. Turns out 12 months.
I have some good ones for you. We can swap.
Note to self. All right.
Back. So back up.
Haunted. So
we're in the Haunted Mansion. I've made my escape at 3 miles an hour. So flash forward to this was 1980. This is probably 88 or somewhere around there, 87 maybe. And maybe
Cold
a little
War. Post-Cold.
Exactly. Pre Michael Keaton Batman, somewhere around there. So flash forward to 1990. When did I propose? 96, 5?
When did you guys get married?
We got married in 98. So
it would have been like 96 or 97, right?
About 96, maybe 95.
You guys were engaged
96.
for 2 years?
Yeah. I was going to go 7 because that was what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. And I used to threaten her. I'd say, hey, if it's good enough for Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's good enough for me.
Wow, and that's a very specific California moment.
And she would just roll her eyes. And,
yes.
And
Barbara Rogers, by the way, very much with the rolling of the eyes.
Yeah,
She's like, whatever, honey. Yeah, I hope it all works out for you.
Yeah, exactly. She puts up with a lot of my...
The hilarity of Scott Rogers and the consistent hilarity is pretty awesome. By the way, Allow me to digress briefly and say Scott Rogers has written 2 books about video game design.
I need to plug.
Right. There's Level Up.
Yes.
Which is, and I did a pass on that. You asked me to do a pass on that. So
Comedy pass.
Comedy pass. Didn't need a comedy pass. Already entertaining and funny. So, and then the second one is called Swipe This, which is about iPad and touchscreen.
Yeah, touchscreen. So, Touch This, Swipe This just came out not too long ago. So that's the one I need. That's the one I need everyone to go buy.
Oh, Swipe This.
And I need like more
and
Amazon reviews.
Amazon reviews.
Because I only got like 11. I got like 49 for Level Up.
Okay.
Which is pretty not bad for.
Well, the thing is Level Up.
No Stephen King, but
no. And you just gave me a Stephen King book in the hopes that I would read it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if you can handle the tension.
I know. I don't know if I can handle. You
can handle the tension.
I have a stack of books, and people have very nicely been giving me a lot of books recently. What people don't know. Hi, Todd Mason, and who else? Who else has been giving me books?
She doesn't have time to read all these books.
Well, I'm doing a reread of The Dragon Riders of Pern.
Oh, good Lord.
Hey, good times.
Well, between that and your yearly read of every Tolkien thing, then that's going to fill up your calendar pretty quick.
No, I got time. I just finished that Ian Banks Accession.
See, that's one of those that everybody keeps saying, read Ian Banks, and I'm like,
It's dense. Yeah. They're dense and they're really smart, but they're also really, really human and character driven.
Dumb books, though.
I like a dumb book myself. I'm pro.
Yeah.
I'm pro a dumb book.
Short and dumb.
I don't mind it.
Anyway.
So
Haunted Mansion. So it's 1996, and I've decided I'm going to propose to this woman who I love. And
hence the reason.
Yeah, and she loves Disneyland, and I've tested her many times on Disneyland, even though she's from the East Coast, and unfairly so, but she's passed with flying colors. So I was going to originally propose in these very lovely gazebos with roses in the Disneyland Hotel, which is where we stayed the first week we met in person. Because I have a very long, my romance with Brenda involved writing letters. I mean, this was literally.
You guys were pen pals?
Oh, well, yes. Although it took me 8 years to become her pen pal. Because she was over in the East Coast and I was in California. I'm 3,000 miles away. What's the point?
How did you meet?
Through my ex-girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a whole nother that's not even a Dork Forest interesting story.
Except for everyone's going, what the hell's happening?
So good luck following this story.
Yeah,
sorry, my apologies.
But no, it's
So Brenda from the East Coast, I wrote to her kind of at the cusp of the internet. Mm-hmm. Then we wrote in July, I called her in October, we finally talked. I said, hey, we should maybe meet. She said, that'd be great. Let's do it in Chicago. And then her boss turned around and bought her plane tickets to fly out to California for Christmas. Oh. It's like a fairy godmother. Bing.
Oh, to meet you?
Yeah, to meet me.
Well, that is adorable.
It is adorable.
And
we were already, we were becoming in love and we were, this and that. But it was really she got off the plane and it was love at first sight. Aw. You
guys are adorable.
Yeah.
And 15 years later,
15 years still, well, more than that. Almost, It's almost 20, but.
Right.
Anyway,
right. In real life. Anyway, so.
With 7 years, our Schwarzenegger.
So you were going to do.
So I wanted to do something, I wanted to propose in a slightly memorable way that would be romantic, but, not too romantic. I'm not,
You don't want to have to live up to it forever?
Yeah. I wanted a good story out of it, right?
Okay.
So the roses I was going to do, but I'm really glad I didn't because they bulldozed those and turned it into the ESPN restaurant. So while I would have been able to get some really good chicken wings,
right,
I would not have been able. It would not as
there might
romantic.
have been stock car racing showing. It would have been fantastic. ESPN 2.
Exactly. I'm not so big on the sports, so I'm actually really glad that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So my second pick was the Haunted Mansion because I figured no one's going to be bulldozing that over. So. Go to the stretching room, and the year before I had timed it out how long it was going to take because in the stretching room where the lights, what happens is this: go into the stretching room. The ghost host is talking to you. He's telling you it's scary. It's a haunted mansion. Shows you these pictures. Is there a way out? No doors, no windows. The pictures are stretching, and then he says, "Well, the only way out is my way." The lights go off. The lightning illuminates the roof of the building. There's a corpse, and is inferring that the guy hung himself, right? Saying, "Hey, I killed myself to get out of here." Right. Although he didn't, because he's the host.
Okay.
And so what I did was the year before I figured out how, and then the lights go off, and there's a scream and a thump, and then the lights come back on, and then you're kicked out into the next part of the attraction. So I figured out how long it took between the lights going off and the lights coming back on, 13 seconds, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to have the ring in my pocket. I wanted to get down on one knee. I wanted to open the ring up, and by the time the lights came back on, I'm on my knee, proposing, saying, will you marry me in front of all these other people? Right? That was the plan. Right. Well, as you know, in any Hollywood movie, the plan never goes as planned. Well, right? Yeah, the first thing to go is the plan. Exactly. Don't fall in love with the plan. So what happens is this. I have in my pocket the ring. And I'm very nervous, and and it was like the weekend of our anniversary, and I wanted to do it on the day. I had all these conditions I was building up for myself. No pressure. No self-pressure at all, right? At all. And so I go to get down on one knee, and I'm going to open the ring, and Brenda grabs my hand, and she yanks me back up, and she hisses at me, don't you dare play dead. And she thought you were going to go dead again. She thought I was going to go dead again, right? And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Wait, but... Yeah, and so the lights come back on, and the crowd starts streaming out, and she's pulling on my hand, and she's like, come on, let's go. And I'm like, no, wait, bud, wait. And so finally I kind of pull her back into the room, and I get down on my knee. I forget to open the ring case. It's, and then finally I open it up and I propose and I say, will you marry me? And she goes, oh God. And I said, does that mean yes? And then just then at that point, here comes the cast member waving his flashlight going, hey, what's going on? Just like, hurry it up, right? I'm like, what is this? The same guy from 1988, right. So we get onto our doom buggy, we make our escape, and we go through, and there was a room with the bride in it, and all the little ghosts were popping up saying, I do. And so we were in hysterics from that. And when we come out of the tomb at the end of the ride, there was a crowd of about 30 people, and they were all applauding us. Because they all had seen what had happened and realized what had happened. And so that's adorable. You're adorable. And the Disneyland connection is perfect. Yeah, so that's why we love the Haunted Mansion. And there's many other reasons beyond that. But, so I have a large collection of Haunted Mansion stuff that I can show you. Including this tumbler. And showing 2 tumblers that we're drinking out of, yes. We're drinking out of right now. It says Haunted Mansion. You've got the Medusa, I think. And I have a green dude. Oh, you've got Ezra, and I've got Phineas. Okay, so there you go. Cheers. Cheers. And root beer. To the Haunted Mansion. Be jealous. And yeah. So I like the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. So I love. Yeah, Andy. When he was going to propose, he had hung all these tea lights from the back of our orange tree in the backyard, and it was orange blossom time. And we had guests over that didn't leave. Oh no! And so he's like, "I'll be right back after they leave." So they leave, and he goes, I'm going to go close up Tiberius, is what he says, which is where Tiberius is in his kennel in the garage. Is that your new code word now? Close up Tiberius? Yeah. No. But he has to go put out all the candles. And so he put out all the candles, and so the next day we went to where our first date was, which was Nat's Early Bite. Oh. Which is a breakfast place. Our first date was a breakfast place, which is awesome. Yeah. And then we had a late breakfast for our first date, if you know what I mean. Oh, hello. That's just 7 years later. You're like, I'm going to need to touch you. Anyway, so that's too much info. Hey, kids, turn away. Okay, so... it's all natural. So when you walk in... To Disneyland. We've now moved a whole 10 feet into Disneyland. Well, that's it. I mean, that's the thing. Right. You see the flowers. Yeah, does Mickey Mouse. What's your first go? Well, there's a big, beautiful Mickey Mouse display of flowers. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that Mickey Mouse, like in the early days of Disneyland... Mickey wasn't a huge presence because I think Walt was a little nervous about whether Disneyland was going to work or not. And so the official mascot of Disneyland is not Mickey Mouse, it's Tinkerbell. And so when you scan your ticket, you hear Tinkerbell. It's essentially her welcoming you into the park. So, weird. So you go into the park and there are 2 tunnels. You can go in either one. And the first thing they hand you in Disneyland is a map because they want you to know your way around. But then when you go through the tunnels, there's these posters that are done in kind of the WPA style, like, the Visit the Grand Tetons or that. But they're of all the attractions. So you've got, Pirates of the Caribbean or the Jungle Cruise or the Matterhorn or whatever. And so it's really brilliant because they get you thinking about, like, here's this whole big land spread out in front of you. And they're making you start to think about, well, what do I want to see? Like, I'm now in this land. I'm on vacation. What do I want to go see, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's all these very gentle prods to kind of get you to make decisions. And part of it is the way the pathing goes, right? The way the road travels, a very clear path, and all the...
Which way is which, though? Like when you walk in and you hang a left?
Either or. You can go either way.
But what
on the left-hand... Well, on the left-hand side, both end up on Main Street. On the left-hand side is City Hall. And so that's if you need to... so there are a few things that are good to know about City Hall. If you're celebrating a birthday or a first-time visit or anniversary, you can get a special little pin there.
Okay.
That's like hey, welcome. If you have medical problems, so for example, my wife, Brenda, doesn't do well with crowds, but if you go to City Hall and say, look, I get anxiety or I have psychosis or whatever, or you have a wheelchair or something, a legitimate physical handicap, you can go to City Hall and get a pass that will get you essentially through the back door of most attractions. And it doesn't, not for everything, or it acts as a fast pass in some cases. Okay. So this is really good for, like, if you're like, oh my God, don't... I
can't do it because there's too many people.
Yeah, don't abuse it, obviously. I mean, don't...
But if you genuinely can't take crowds or something, or if you're on crutches or something...
You can still enjoy Disneyland.
You can still enjoy Disneyland.
And not have to go through the long lines, because the lines do get long, it's true. But, on the right-hand side is what used to be the bank. It's now a Disneyana store, so they have a little art gallery in the back that has a rotating display. Last time I checked, it was like trains, but it's probably something new now. Right. And then behind that is the Lincoln, the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is the first human audio animatronic. So you don't even know about Lincoln?
What is there's a Lincoln?
Yeah. So
statue?
So in the World's Fair in 1964, the big Chicago World's Fair, the people that ran the fair said, "Hey, Disney, would you like to do some exhibits for us?" And Disney, who was very shrewd, it was like, yeah, here's an opportunity for me to get like 5 free attractions out of these exhibits. I'll just build them for the World's Fair and then transplant them back into Disneyland.
I can write them off.
Yeah, pretty much. So, which was really smart, right? Yeah. So he did the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. He did the dinosaurs that are now in the train in the Primeval World. Okay. He did Small World. I've seen those. It's a Small World. What the heck?
Yeah, could you fix that right? Turns out.
Sorry, I can't do that. And I'm trying to remember what the other ones were now. I'm totally blanking.
But what does Lincoln say? Is it just like quotes from his inaugural address?
No, he gives the Gettysburg Address. It's
the Gettysburg.
Yeah, but it's really cool.
That is the money shot, the Gettysburg.
Yeah, of course.
They're not gonna do the second inaugural address.
No, but if you go into this really nice building, and they've got kind of a retrospectacle of Disneyland. For a while it was Lincoln, for a while it was some other stuff. It changes every 5-10 years or so. And so you can see some really neat artifacts, like all those e-tickets I was telling you about. They've got a neat display of a bunch of tickets, and they've got a huge model of what the park looked like in 1955. And there's all these neat little hidden gems in Disneyland that a lot of people they're so busy running to Space Mountain, they miss all these neat things.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. So you go back there, and then you sit down in this theater, and he delivers the Gettysburg Address of this very realistic audio animatronic figure who,
like Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, but better?
Yes.
Much better.
Much better. He doesn't play the drums at all. There's no drum playing or keyboard playing at all.
I heard they took those guys out.
They yanked it. It's a nice, inspiring, get your jingoism up a little bit, right?
Who doesn't like a little jingoism with Disneyland?
And then kicks you back out into the park in the Main Street again.
On the Main Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you go
up Main Street.
You go up Main Street. And Main Street,
you have to go through Main Street.
Well, yeah.
To the rest of it.
And the reason why you have to go through Main Street is Disneyland is a story about kind of like what Walt Disney loves. It's like the whole place is built. So whenever Walt would talk about Disneyland and say, "Hey, I'm going to build this place, Disneyland," and it wasn't even Disneyland. It was like Mickey Mouse Park at first, right? And then it kept changing and changing and changing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And he would always say he was a huge train nut. Like he loved model trains, and he had like a scale model train called the Carolwood Pacific in his backyard. It was like there's great pictures of him sitting on this thing that's, so imagine a train about the size.
Didn't his wife say, why don't you make a park and get this train out of our backyard?
That was part of it. Yeah, I think that was part of Lillian's desire to get the train out of the backyard. But he had this little scale train that he'd take kids and stuff on, and he'd just cruise around, and him and his, some of the Imagineers were like big train nuts. And so Walt was always like, I have to have a train. I gotta have a real steam train that goes around. And so whatever Disneyland is going to be surrounded by a train. And so one of the first things you also see when you go into Disneyland is the train station. And the train is there, and there's 4 trains that run around, and there's one of them, well, there's a couple of things. One, you can sit next to the tender if you ask, and if they have the space. So the tender is where they load the coal.
Oh, okay.
And then the other is for special occasions, there is a caboose called the Lily Bell. Okay. And the Lily Bell is named after his wife, Lillian, Disney's wife. And that's where, like, the heads of state go and sit. So, like, if the Emperor of Japan shows up, they put him in the Lily Bell and cruise him around in that. So they have some privacy, but they still get to ride the train. Yeah. And I have given, I had a pitch meeting in the back of the Lily Bell, which was pretty awesome, actually. I'm pitching some ideas, and here you hear the dinosaurs roaring next to you or the other things. So there's a lot of really neat, on the train you get to see a nice little grand circle tour.
I love the train. Yeah. The train's nice. I like a train through anything. That wildlife park down in San Diego. Yeah. Used to have a train. Have
you been to Train Town in near Griffith Park?
I don't like trains. I just like to sit and have things go around.
Oh, I see.
And take me around.
You just like to be carted around.
Yeah. I just enjoy the catering that I don't have to walk. You just like
not walking.
Yeah.
So if it were like any place without walking, that's...
Right. I'll take a monorail. It's nice that it's got a little cow catcher on it. I'm not saying
tram,
it's awesome. Yeah, a tram.
Whatever.
It's I'll take one of those flying ones over the park.
Yeah. Skyway no longer there, sadly.
There used to be one.
Yes, there used to be.
I don't think I ever was there when it was there.
It was terrifying. There's another terrifying attraction. Yes, because you could get a nice high wind going, and it would rock back and forth. And then, and you look down, and it was pretty high up. And I remember being very scared of the Skyway as a kid. But the cool thing about it was it would pass the original, when it first was built, it was just a Skyway to get you from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland quicker than walking. But then they built the Matterhorn, and they're like, well, look, the Matterhorn's right in the flight path of the Skyway. And they said, well, hell, let's just knock a hole in it. So the Skyway would go through the Matterhorn. So you could see all the bobsleds whizzing around, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. And you could see the Peter Pan, the pirate ship that used to be there. And it was great. It was a great way. I mean, the neat thing about Disneyland is there's lots of these ways to, or used to be at least, ways, like monorail's another way, to see the park and kind of orient yourself a little bit, because it is so big, that you can kind of get a little intimidated by it. So the train is a good way if you're like, well, I kind of want to see everything there's to offer. And take a ride
around the outside of the whole place.
Yeah, the outside of the whole place, so you can kind of see.
And what does the monorail do?
The monorail takes you from. In between? No, it only goes from Tomorrowland to. It used to just go to the hotel. Okay. But now that the hotel has been moved back, so now that Downtown Disney exists, everything got knocked back further. So remember when I told you those little bungalows were there? Those got raised out, and so the monorail used to drop you off right next to those bungalows. But now it drops you off for chicken wings.
Oh, right.
And for the Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, right.
So now it's still a good way to get into the park, though, particularly if it's like a summer, it's a good, hey, it's July or Thanksgiving or something, let's take the monorail.
Super busy, yeah.
Because not as many people know about it, and people don't want to go, like when they get into Disneyland, if you go left, you go towards the park. If you go right, you're going towards Downtown Disney and the hotel. Okay. People don't want to go right because it's away from the parks. So if you go right, and then you eventually end up at the monorail, and then you can go back in. So it's a good little psychological trick, right? Yeah. It's working against the crowd. Okay. So we're on Main Street. What are some other good things on Main Street?
Well, you never did finish about Club 33.
Club 33.
You have to join the club, and then you have to pay a yearly thing. Is that correct?
That is correct. You do have to pay a membership to join. Okay. And then a yearly fee, and I think it's several grand now to join. It's like $1.5 grand or something to maintain.
Wow.
So you got to have some scratch to.
Yeah, it's an expensive thing, but if you want to have an Amstel Light and some Chateaubriand
At Disneyland.
as you look over
New Orleans Square.
Square.
Spit down on the common people.
Exactly. Let them eat cake.
Exactly, yes. What are the poor people doing today? They're eating churros. While I am dining, having a fine...
They're having churros.
Exactly. So it's Club 33.
I've had beignets there that are good.
The beignets are fantastic.
Yeah, let's talk food.
My God, there's so much
What's
good
your favorite?
food.
That Dole Whip, I had that for the first
Dole Whip
time.
is great, yeah.
That's at the Tiki
room, yeah. Well, let's see. My personal favorite place to eat right now is the French Quarter restaurant, which is in New Orleans Square. It's actually below Club 33.
Okay.
Now there's some sort of jackhammering going on.
Oh, that'll happen.
All right, so... all right, so...
Things are happening.
So French Quarter, you can get excellent French onion soup.
Okay.
You can get the Monte Cristo sandwich, which you could only originally get at the Blue Bayou restaurant.
Okay.
Which is also very good.
Which is some sort of fried ham and cheese with waffle mix or something.
Imagine ham and cheese French toast that's all deep fried, and then you eat it with powdered sugar and raspberry jelly. It will kill you.
17 meals in a row.
It's like a steak in your heart, but it's fantastic.
The first bite, you're like, this is the best thing I've ever had. The second bite, you're like, I'm full, and then you finish it.
And I always go to the French Quarter with the intention to eat that Monte Cristo sandwich, but then I always end up getting the French onion soup and the salad, which is also nice, and maybe an order of garlic fries.
Oh, they do a garlic fry.
Oh, they do a garlic fry. So that's kind of my meal of, if I'm going to sit down and eat, it'll either be that or, ironically, it'll be the fried chicken at the Plaza Inn, which is at the top of Main Street, which I've also had, which is pretty good. Which is pretty good, and it's actually, it's not Knott's good, but it's a good second. Like, have you've been to Knott's?
Did I go with you to Knott's Scary Farm?
Yes, we did go to Knott's.
And then we went to some sort of chicken place there.
Yeah, we had chicken dinner at Knott's.
The Knott's Scary Farm has 1 million haunted houses.
Yes. Yeah, at least like 13 or 15.
At around 4, I got the shakes. So I had to sit in the entire park has fake fog pumped into it.
Yeah. And zombies skating on their knees.
Completely not child.
No, not at all.
This is not for children.
Guts are hanging out everywhere. Yeah, it's awesome.
And you were like, hey, we're going to go to the doll one next. Yeah. And I was like, why would they take dolls and make them all terrifying? Well, because dolls are terrifying.
Exactly.
And so I said, I will be out here. You guys go.
Yeah, I felt bad.
So I went to I think every third one.
Right. And then you did the horses.
And I did...
the Pony Express ride. I chickened out on that.
Right. That was a great ride.
That's a good ride.
But
I didn't want to go on. Andy and I were the ones that were the weenies on that.
Right. Yeah, Brenda and I went on the... it was like a pony race.
Uh-huh.
And it was weird because it was half a pony. And
it's like a motorcycle almost.
It was like a motorcycle. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good ride.
Yeah. And, I remember that's one of the first times we spent any sort of time together. It was very lovely.
Yeah.
So you go there or you go to the chicken place.
Yeah, those are my two favorite sit-downs.
What about street food?
So street food, well, the corn dog is good. Which is the corn dog cart. Yeah, that's a lot of people. So there's certain foods at Disneyland that have built up a cult following. Mm-hmm. One of them is the corn dog, which is I like it, but I prefer the hot link dog in California Adventure.
Okay.
So there's a hot link version of that at the Corn Dog Castle in near the Paradise Pier, which is kind of the Santa Cruz type space in the back.
Oh, in California Adventure.
In California Adventure. Yeah.
I've only been to California. I haven't been enough around it to be able to even find anything in California Adventure.
California Adventure has some. It's gotten a lot better since they've redid
I like the soaring. Soaring
is fun.
That's the best ride for me.
Yeah, a lot of people.
And I bought my Amelia Air hat there.
Yep, and your goggles.
And my goggles.
Right.
Yeah.
Which inspired my son to also. He has the goggles.
You got the goggles?
We don't have the hat yet, but I'm sure he'll get them next time. Yeah.
Next time hat.
So the corn dog is great. The people like the turkey leg, but I'm not a fan of the turkey leg because it looks like turkey, tastes like ham. Oh, and I'm kind of convinced it's not turkey. I think it's actually a big thing of ham, and we're just fooling everybody. But
yeah, I don't know. It might be people. Whatever it is,
yes,
it isn't. It doesn't.
It's wrong.
I want to sit down and eat turkey. I don't want.
Yeah, but it's a leg.
But don't hand me like a King George.
Yeah, it's like Hagar the Horrible walking around.
Yeah, this is not a Ren Fair.
No, it's not a Ren Fair. So I'm not a fan of the turkey leg. I do like the frozen lemonade. that you can get either in front of the storybook canal ride, or you can also get it in front of the Haunted Mansion.
And it's completely frozen solid?
It's a Slurpee with lemonade. It's a lemonade Slurpee.
Okay.
But I like that quite a bit.
Melts off.
Churro, of course, is good. Once in a while. Blue Moon, I get a jonesing for popcorn, although I have a friend who swears up and down that the popcorn at Disneyland is completely different than any other popcorn that you could get in the world. I think he's high a little bit on Disneyland,
sure.
But they make a good.
He finds it to be the finest of all popcorns in all the world.
Yeah. He's like he's like, if any popcorn in the world, the Disneyland popcorn is the finest. And,
all right.
And I do admit that I'm charmed by the popcorn carts, because there are little animated characters that kind of roll seeds around, and depending on the land that you're in, there's a different character. And if you're in front of a certain attraction, you'll see different characters. So in Tomorrowland,
okay, so go look.
Yeah, in Tomorrowland, the Rocketeer he's turning it, but in front of the Matterhorn, sometimes it's the Yeti from the Matterhorn that's doing it, or in front of the Haunted Mansion, there's this kind of ghoulish character. So there's fun little details like that, and even in the popcorn machines.
That's so great. Yeah. My brother Phil, when the one time he was talked into taking his kids, two things happened. First of all, my niece Maya, who we went together to the Haunted Mansion for the first time, and we both almost chickened out, and in the chicken room, but we stuck it out, and it was.
It would have made sense though that you would have gone to the chicken room.
Yeah, it would have been, because I enjoy the chicken. But Phil stood in line while we were standing in line for some ride that he didn't want to go on because he doesn't like rides. But he stood in line to get Snow White's autograph for 45 minutes, and then he comes up to me afterwards, and as he hands it to Maya, and he turns to me and he goes, she's about 8 or 9 at the time, and he goes, yeah, I could have signed that. I realized that after she signed. And I was like, no, they probably practiced that signature quite a bit.
Well, those are
certified
characters. They're the friends. Yeah, they're the characters. In Disney parlance, they're known as friends. So it's not really Snow White, it's her friend.
Oh, is it Snow White's friend?
Yeah.
Who's signing Snow White's name?
Well,
just in case.
Just in case. It's Snow White. If you're
Snow White doesn't have time.
If you're 8 and under, it's Snow White.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real. We say when you're in the park, it's Snow White, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where she lives in Disneyland.
Why wouldn't she?
But if you were to meet her on the street, let's say, and you say, "What do you do for a living?" She would say, "I'm Snow White's friend."
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is really funny because one time...
Does that come with insurance?
I hope so.
Me too.
I do too. When I was in college, I went to a party, and there was a lovely brunette gal at this party that I immediately ran over and hello, ladies. Hello, lady. And I asked her, I said, what do you do for a living? And she said, I'm Snow White's friend at Disneyland. And I said, oh, that's so great. And she says, yeah, it's great because it's something I've always wanted to do for my whole life. And I love, being with the children and making them happy. And I get to be Snow White and she's my favorite character and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, that's great, but what are you going to do when you're too old to be Snow White? And she was college age, and I don't think the thought had even entered her brain yet. And I literally could hear glass breaking as I backed away very slowly.
Yourself quite
I was not very good at getting the ladies in college.
That was not the smoothest move you've ever.
I know. And in the end, I should have said, "Hey, I'm your Prince Charming," or something like that would have been better. But in the end, I ended up shattering a young girl's dream.
Right. There must have been the right line.
Yeah, I could think of a few.
The other thing Phil did in Disneyland is he sat in front of the castle with popcorn and littered.
What? Oh, to see how long it would take people to clean up. To see how long it would take people to
come to clean up.
Yeah, that's some people like doing that.
Yeah, do you know why? Because it's the second way of enjoying Disneyland.
Well, there's a game.
We do it crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's the second level of enjoying Disneyland. Yes. And there's a game that I sometimes still play in Disneyland, which is the how long will it take for you to see genuinely happy people as you walk through the park.
Oh.
And sometimes it takes a long time to
people you look are stressed.
Oh yeah, Disneyland is it's vacation, but you want to maximize that vacation.
Right, so people are very interested in making sure everyone
is happy.
Are we doing this?
And
are we doing
it right?
This?
Yeah,
we got to do it right.
Right, and so it's sadly, and so this is one of my personal challenges as an Imagineer is how can I get people to smile more? Right, I think that's a good goal for us to that's trying to do. So, we work on things like that. And
that's neat.
Because as an Imagineer, what we make is we make happiness.
Right.
That's what we make.
That's what you're imagining.
And I can get behind that.
You're engineering some happiness. That's what you're trying to imagine engineering.
But that's a pretty good thing to, like, a life goal, right? What do you do for a living? I'm trying to make as many people happy as I can.
Right.
So that's why I like doing it.
Yeah.
Because I also get to crawl around in Haunted Mansion for the money. It's awesome.
All right, we're at an hour 10.
Oh my
so
gosh.
let's plug it. Let's say we've talked about Swipe This.
Yes.
You're on the Facebook, but it's your personal page. So
well, I'm on the Facebook, but I do have a website for if you're into video games. I know that we've spent no time talking about video games.
But previous episodes of the Dork Forest can be found with Scott Rogers talking about video games. And what were you, 24? The Venture Brothers?
Oh, right, yes.
Were you 29? Were you 24?
21 or 24, I forget which.
Yeah. Him and Andy came on and were the characters.
My only LARPing experience.
Exactly. And you, Andy said that you were so invested in it that you would not stop doing the character because you're like, I don't want to do it wrong, so I'm going to just keep doing this. And it was hilarious. He said he could not stop laughing.
He said at the end of the night, one of the gals that was there said, please tell me you have another voice, like a real voice other than this goofy character voice. So I have a website. Well, it's a website. It's horribly infrequently updated, but there's a lot of it's been around long enough that there's a lot of interesting things on it. If you're into Disneyland,
go down a rabbit hole.
It's Mr. Boss Design. So it's MrBossDesign. And there's plenty of .com. And there's plenty of pluggage about Level Up and about Swipe This. And dare I say, not that the Dork Forest T-shirts aren't lovely.
Oh, yes.
The most awesome T-shirt ever created is available for purchase. Yes, it is a. Did you draw it? I did draw it. It was for Swipe This. It was because I wanted to make it.
Because I know you did the art on all of Level Up.
Yeah, and I did the art on all of Swipe This as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah, lots of fun. Yeah, so if you're going to buy these books, at the very least, there's a lot of funny pictures to look at. And in Level Up, there's a really good chili recipe.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so if you like the
chili. Do you advocate a bean chili or a meat chili?
Meat chili.
Meat chili. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you've listened to the Dork Forest, and it's just really the beginning. We've scratched the surface of a Disneyland dork, and God knows there could be an entire album of such folk. Yeah. Between him and Steve Tatham and Allison Colombo one day. That's the third one. Thanks for tuning in. Take care of each other out there. Bye.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat, my hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?